Hi, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I want to spend some time talking about a couple different areas of my life and what I am planning for the next 5 years. This is going to be a very probably rambling video because I'm just going to talk from my heart. So let's jump right into it. So the first area I want to talk about is my career. So right now I am a human resources professional. I do work in the financial services industry. I am based in New York City. My plan for my career in the next 5 years is to, at a minimum, double my base salary. And if I can, double the amount of bonus that I am paid. Now, how I'm actually going to do that, I'm not 100% sure, because one of the things that I've learned thus far in my career, and I'm 38 years old, so I've been around the block a couple times, is while it's really good to plan and have a vision, it's also really important to remain agile, because you plan and then life laughs at you. And I've definitely experienced that several points in my career. So what I am doing now is checking in frequently. I would say probably once every quarter, just to think about the role that I'm in, think about the organization that I'm in, what are the growth opportunities, what are the chances for me to learn new things, get promoted, increase my income, increase my bonus payout, right? I'm constantly checking in those areas to make sure that if at any point the conversation I'm having with myself is, okay, this is no longer working, I'm able to start thinking about pivoting and doing something else, whether at that organization or somewhere else. Again, definitely trying to, work towards doubling my compensation in those 5 years, because not only will that help me to invest more significantly, but it would also allow me to provide a better life for myself and my daughter. So with that, let's jump into the second category, my daughter. So I do have a daughter. I've talked about her before, just slightly, in the 529 plan videos that I produce every single week. So I have a daughter and she is special needs. So I am, of course, I love her and she's always at the top of my mind. So I'm trying to figure out a financial plan for her, right? Because she might require lifetime care, and she will definitely be outliving me if life is supposed to go how it's supposed to go. So I have a 529 plan for her, and I know a lot of people are probably like, oh, isn't that like a college plan? Is she going to college? Well, she's very young right now. She's 3.5 years old, so college is a long way away, and you never know what can happen in the future. When a child is this young and has a disability, it's hard even for the professionals to predict where that child is ultimately going to land in terms of development. So like, none of her doctors, none of her therapists, no one can say, oh yes, for sure, she will always require help, or no, she won't require help, or she'll be somewhere in between. Like, no one can take a firm stance on that, because children evolve, and you literally just have to wait until the years go by and you see where that child is. But I'm someone that I'm going to plan for the worst and just hope and be shocked if something better happens. So as I'm thinking about her future, I'm thinking about like worst case scenario. She requires full-time, 24-hour help. So I'm trying to create an account for her, which is a 529 plan, that I plan to then convert into something called an ABLE account, which is an investment account for people with disabilities. So it's similar to a 529 in the sense that it's post-tax dollars, so it'd be like the money from my paycheck that I put in there, but the growth on the account is tax-free when you withdraw it, so similar to the 529. But the big difference between the ABLE account and the 529 account is that the 529, that's for college and I believe it's some private school education expenses and some other things you can use the 529 for, but ultimately it all surrounds that child's education. With the ABLE account, you can use the account for just the daily living and care of that person with a disability. So housing, food, clothing, etc. So it's a more flexible account in terms of, you know, what you can use the funds for. So she has her 529 plan right now. I am going to give it 5 years. So when she turns 8, right, I'll be in a better spot at that age to kind of determine and say, okay, there's a clearer vision in terms of the type of support that she's going to need for her lifetime. So that's where I am right now with that. So that account, if it does get converted to an ABLE account, let's say it does, that account I'm looking more as like her investment account. So I don't intend to use that account for any of her like daily living expenses or anything to take care of her, because she will be living with me and I'll be taking care of her off of my income. So I really truly view that account as an investment account, even though again, you can use it for day-to-day expenses, you know, taking care of that person. And in addition to that, I'm also working on my own investment accounts, right? So that when I'm no longer here, not only will she have her ABLE investment account, but she would have money that's left over in like my 401k account, my brokerage account, my savings account. I also have a life insurance policy on me, so that life insurance policy would get paid out and go straight to the care of her. So all of those accumulation property as well that I plan to buy will all be wealth that I am going to leave behind to 100% go towards taking care of her. So if you're wondering, well, how are you going to make sure all of that happens? Because the plan is also to set up that special needs trust. So the next 5 years is going to be very critical in this area for my daughter, because 5 years, depending on where she's developmentally, let's say if it is looking like she'll need that lifetime support, that's when I'm going to convert that 529 plan to the ABLE account. And then that's when I'm going to go ahead and set up a special needs trust for her and have that trust get managed by an institution to help take care of her. But we'll talk about that area a little bit later on. So I mentioned property. So yes, next 5 years. Well, in the next 2 years, so 2024, I want to buy a property. So I live in New York City and everything here is very, very expensive. I'm talking like 1.5 million and up expensive. So the area that I live in right now, Astoria, Queens, the homes, like there's a home down the block from where I live. It's like 2 million. Like it's such a ridiculous number. It's like, you just have to kind of like shake your head. What I'm planning to do right now is to buy a co-op in 2024. And a co-op is, in short, you're buying shares in a building, but it's technically you own it because you own the shares of the you own the shares that's tied to the apartment in the building that you bought. So like you actually do take out a mortgage, there's a credit check, you need to get a pre-approval, like you have to have a real estate agent. It's like a true like legit purchase, but it's your owning shares versus, you know, quote unquote real property. And the co-op price range that I'm looking at right now is like 400,000 to 500,000. We'll see how that goes. I might need to go a little bit higher. But yes, that's what you get in New York City for like a 2-bedroom, 1-bath. That's the price range. And I know that's an amount that you could probably get a full-blown like real home with like a basement and a backyard in so many other states. So that's what I'm thinking in terms of the housing. So that's for the next 2 years. And I've been sharing my house down payment weekly updates with you all, so you can go ahead and check out those videos to kind of see where I am saving wise. But the financial requirements for a co-op is so severe. They want like 20 to 25% down, plus they want you to have 2 years of like cash reserves to cover the mortgage and the HOA payments. So then your closing costs, then the cost, right, for you to like relocate, maybe you want to buy new furniture, maybe you want to do some renovations on the property because a lot of them are like older older apartments. So it's gonna be a lot of money. I'm talking like over $100,000 easy cash, like hard cash. So I'm working towards that, and that's the plan, to buy that co-op in 2 years and then just continue to live there and work on paying off that mortgage as fast as I possibly can. So yes, I would be working towards being mortgage free ASAP. And the last category I want to talk about is investing. So, I'm on this path to financial independence, retire early, and I did a video on the types of FIRE. And realistically, of course, I would love to do traditional FIRE, but that number is like $1.1 million. So I started thinking about, okay, what's more feasible for you to do, right? Because I found FIRE later in life, in my 30s. Maybe if I was 24 or some, along those lines, sort of that traditional FIRE would be something that's more realistic for me, because I have no intention of working until 60 and 63. I'm tired now at 38. I just cannot imagine how tired I'm going to be at 60. I am not risking it, because I don't think I'm going to make it that long. I have my company 401k, I have a Roth IRA, I have a brokerage account, and that's it. Oh, and an HSA account as well. So those are like the 4 buckets of accounts that I have right now that I'm putting money in towards. I try to, max the 401k out for the year, and also max the Roth IRA out. And the Roth IRA, they have limits on them. So once those are maxed, it's really, and also the HSA has a limit on it. So maxing those 3 accounts, the 401k, the Roth IRA, and the HSA, and then putting any excess money into that brokerage account and trying to build that brokerage account up as high as I humanly possibly can get it. And this is where the career ties in, right? When we think about that next 5 years, like if we can double your income, double my income, wow, what a huge difference that would make in terms of the amount of money you can then put into that brokerage account and start really accelerating that balance. Because that balance right now, it's like 10,000, 11,000, and we're trying to get that to $500,000. So we have a long way to go. So like we need to like make stuff happen, right? Like we have to like get that income up. So that's where I am in terms of investing. It's slow and steady, but I've been consistent with putting money aside, and I'm really looking forward to seeing where my investment balance is going to be in the next 5 years. I'm hoping it will cumulatively be at least $500,000. I don't know if maybe that's wishful thinking, but the ultimate goal, or what I'm working towards, is to see if I could shift down to barista FIRE when I'm 50 years old. So that will give me 12 years or 11 years to try to get to that goal. And barista FIRE is when you're working part-time and utilizing your investments to cover half of your daily living expenses, and then the other half you would get from a part-time job, because working part-time would definitely significantly improve my quality of life for sure. Because I've always just worked in really intense environments where it's just work all the time. And that's what it is right now. So being able to kind of scale back and work 2 days a week, or maybe it's 5 days, but I only work half days, would be absolutely life-changing for someone like me, and will allow me to, one, have more time for myself, but also have more time for my daughter as well. So I think it would be a very, very positive change. So I'm working towards that. So those are the different areas I wanted to talk about. Hopefully that gave you a little bit more insight into who I am, what I'm working towards, what motivates me. And I'm going to take you along the journey. So let's see how it goes. This is really exciting to be documenting this journey. And yeah, I'm excited for what's to come. So I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.